Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95 the Savior, and for this video, this is a Ren's Japanese journal. As always, this is a personal video. This is my diary, my own opinion. I'm speaking to you real, like I would my friends, my family, etc. This is not meant to be sugar-coated or speaking politically correct. Just telling you how I feel off the top of my head. There's no script for this. It's my own life and my real feelings, me reacting to things that I don't get the chance to react the way I would like to in real life, obviously due to wanting to be professional, avoid hurting people's feelings, or of course, as always, we think of things later on. So yeah, I want to kind of talk about something before I forget, but I had a private student and I kind of tweeted about this topic a little bit the other day. You're not going to see this video for a while, but yeah. So I was talking about in my tweet how I find it to be really like cringeworthy and insulting, and it's a turnoff to talk to people that are quote unquote wannabe black guys that try to hit on me, talk to me, or in this case, what this video will be about mostly, book lessons with me. So before I move forward, I want to get a few things out of the way because I know that weeboos and people that love Japan, as well as I think some Black people that are not Black Americans in particular, will not understand this. So let me clarify a few things. There's a big difference between someone liking and admiring your country and or your culture and someone being stereotypical and rude and disrespectful. For example, I obviously live in Japan. I do still really like it, but I don't qualify as liking it according to Japanese people or I don't qualify for saying it's a hobby according to Japanese people because I don't partake in it anymore. But I really like Japanese pop culture. I used to really like anime. I used to really like video games and, pop music. I do still like these things, but obviously I'm busy. I have other things on my mind. Excuse me, I've grown up. And not that I don't like these things as an adult still, or didn't like them as an adult. There's other things that I've, taken, I don't know how to explain it, have taken place of those things. Like, it's not that I've forgotten about it, I just don't have time to get into it. Since I've been in Japan, I have yet to watch a single full episode of anything. I tried to continue watching the, anime that I started, but I was too busy living my life, having fun, going to school, dating, making friends, walking around. I just didn't care for it. And now I have work to add to that too. So I will probably, do that again eventually, but for right now, it will remain a thing of the past. So back on subject. Yeah, how can I say? I don't have a problem with people liking my culture. As I just said, I like Japanese culture, both pop and traditional. I like more than just anime. I appreciate the traditional things about Japan, from traditional clothing to traditional ceremonies and festivals, etc. I love them all. But you will never see me walking around or trying to approach someone to go on a date with them while dressed in geisha. It's weird. Okay. Likewise, I don't appreciate it when guys approach me dressed as a 90s, street guy from Chicago or something. Like, Black people don't even dress in like the fashions that you see people wearing here. And I get it, they're obsessed with it, just like how a lot of foreigners also come to Japan. I'll be trying to warn y'all, but y'all like listening to me. A lot of foreigners come to Japan trying to like relive the like old early 2000s, Lolita and, emo scene that was going on in Harajuku, which is really outdated. And yeah, it looks bad like that, except in reverse. So for me, this is from a minority perspective, not a Japanese perspective, but from, a foreigner perspective. I find it to be really a turnoff. I've literally had guys, back in my Tinder days, that their bio would literally, even on Instagram now, like people still message me. People will have like in their bio that they like dark-skinned girls. And when they say dark-skinned, they mean anybody that's Black. So it's hard to explain when talking to Black people. Long story short, I'm considered as dark-skinned in Japan because my skin is dark in comparison to Asians. When I'm in the US and dealing with other Black people, I am not a dark-skinned girl. So just to clarify that, because you might be like, yeah, you ain't dark-skinned. Like I said, in Japan, in Asia, I am dark-skinned. I am the color that you want to avoid when you go outside. I'm the reason why you wear an umbrella or use an umbrella. I hope you don't wear one. So Anyway, yeah. So I know inside this guy's, mind, and he's not alone. He's thinking that, oh, this is a good thing. People who are black are going to flock to me or know that it's safe to talk to me because I like black people. But it didn't just say that he liked, dark-skinned girls, aka he liked black women. It specifically said that he liked big butts afterwards, big round butts, as he said. And to some stupid pick me, I love Asian men fetishizing whore of a black girl, this might come off as a compliment to you. You're like, oh my God, he likes black culture, he likes me, he likes whatever. But why do you want to diminish yourself or whatever, categorize yourself as being a stereotype and have your race fetishized after? His bio or this person's mindset, even the way that they dress, is literally screaming, I will date anybody who looks like you. Do you want that kind of a boyfriend? Do you want to sleep with somebody like that even if you don't want a real relationship? Because you have to ask yourself, how many other girls has he sent these messages to? How many other girls has he done this with? You should really think about that. And of course, while people want to pretend like, numbers don't matter, they do. The more people you sleep with, the higher, the risk there is of you, getting something, coming across somebody who is not clean. Getting a STD is not normal. And no, this is not exclusive to black people. That's not my point. My point is rather to say someone who is clearly telling you that they have a specific type they're looking for and is apparently desperately in search of anyone that matches that, you can only help but to think they're consistently going after people like this. And thus, they are also willing to sleep with anybody that, matches that description. And it doesn't normally just stop at the guy's, bio or them just telling you that. They will literally quickly try to get you to sleep with them. And that should be a major red flag. Happens to white girls too. You'll see, guys that specifically say they like white girls or, they like blondes or they like girls with blue eyes or whatever the case might be. Like, if you're stupid and you're okay with being that minority token, maybe you see nothing wrong with it. But when you find yourself in the hospital the next day because, you have chlamydia and you're lying to yourself like, oh, it's normal. Everybody gets it. No, normal people do not. But okay, girl, have fun. And I'm not trying to bash anybody. I know there's plenty of people watching my video that have gotten STDs and I'm grateful to God that I haven't because God knows I done some stuff. But that is not my point. I'm not here to shame you, but rather to say that as somebody who has been in probably your shoes before, I can admit in all honesty that that was not a good decision that I made. And no, I did not go with this guy. But that's what this video is about. So excuse me, I need some water. I'm sorry, my lips are like so dry. But yeah, so what I was talking about earlier was I noticed that when this topic is brought up, like specifically in forums and groups, people who are not Black Americans in particular, like especially if they have very limited experience with being abroad and maybe Japan is the first place that they've been to, they don't seem to find anything wrong with people that specify that they like Black people or Black culture. They see it as a compliment and, as the guy paying homage to them. But it's like, it's so much deeper than that. Like I said, it's totally different to be talking to someone that authentically just likes your fashion, likes your clothing. I have guy friends here that like Black culture, that like basketball, that like, wearing, hip hop street clothing, even though their clothing is more modern and up to date, like how we see rappers in videos now. But the difference is they do not run around telling me or other people that they specifically like Black girls and that they like girls with this body type and trying to look like a stereotypical Black person with the do-rag. And it's like, dude, you don't even have hair. Like, why? Like, just stop. Like, oh my God. Like, it's just so cringeworthy. Okay. So yeah, like it really just bothers me. So we can go on infinitely, and I know people are gonna like try to make an argument back, and it's like that's the problem right there. Stay on topic. We're not talking about what other people do. I've already addressed that. I've talked about the flip side of it with girls coming here and wearing outdated stereotypical stuff and trying to act like Japanese girls. That ain't the case we're talking about. And please keep in mind that there's not even a fine line. There's a big difference between somebody cosplaying as a Japanese character and someone's everyday normal look for when going outside is to pretend like they're a waifu pillow. That's a huge difference. And cosplay was not invented in Japan. FYI, actually the origin of cosplay comes from America. For those of you that don't know, not to mention that the most cosplay characters are from American comics and American cartoons. The term cosplay is just Japanese. but it's literally just wearing a costume is all it means. Someone that wears costumes. So yeah, like that argument is weak. But back on subject. We're not talking about that. So I had this guy message me and reached out to me for a trial lesson for English. And while he, messaged me in English, his message was super weird. Like he kind of like alluded to the fact that he was only going to have a trial lesson, that he wasn't interested in anything more than that. And so he didn't directly say that, but he just said, it's just a trial lesson, okay? And so I was thinking, like, what do you mean just a trial lesson? Are you implying that you don't plan to use me as your regular teacher? Well, sure, waste my time, but fine, whatever. I'll take some extra money. So I say yes to him, like, it's fine. And so I tell him where, I'm available to meet at. And yeah, when I did that, he was really worried about what he needed to prepare or have. And so I told him, I was like, it's just a trial lesson. Like, if you want something specific to be prepared, then sure. But normally, I didn't go into detail with him on this, but I normally do the exact same trial lesson with everyone, because I'm not going to waste my time, waste my money putting together some big, whatever show for you if you don't intend on using me again as a regular teacher for full price. Don't do more than what you have to. Put in the bare minimum. They're paying you the minimum, put in the minimum. Don't waste your time, because you will have people that are specifically like this guy, not serious. And I was right. He wasn't. So I explained to him that normally for my trial lessons, I just do a conversational English lesson. So I don't use any books or materials. Not to mention, the reality is most adults that want lessons from you don't want books or materials. They want to learn how to talk regularly, because they're either trying to make or date foreigners and make foreign friends, or they're, planning to go on a business trip in which they will need to be able to speak and listen. So basically gain comprehension skills in English. So anyway, almost choked. Anyway, yeah. So after I said that, he was like, oh, okay. And so after we established the time, I told him what location I wanted to meet at, since we chose the place. I'm not going to say it because I know that there's people that live near me, and I don't want you guys creepishly stalking on me and finding me. It's going to happen eventually, because my channel is growing, which is really weird for me. Excuse me, I know my eyes are getting red because I almost choked. But yeah, so I normally meet people I use the same few places, I recycle them, but there's one place in particular that I really like to meet people at. And when I met him at this place, my goal in my mind was not to actually have the lesson there, but rather we meet there and go somewhere else. So let me backtrack some. So in the message, after he specified, he asked me a couple of times, was there anything he needed to, prepare or whatever, or that I needed to prepare. And I'm like, that I need to prepare. Like, I'm the teacher. Like, what? So after I explained to him that it was just going to be a conversational lesson, nothing fancy. And we, before I even said where we're going to meet at, he asked me if, we could meet for lunch. And so I thought it was weird. It's like a salaryman wants to meet for lunch for an English lesson. Like, I would think he wanted after work or during the weekend, but this is a weekday at lunchtime. And not just that, he specifically said for lunch, like as in we eat lunch together. So I'm thinking that this guy probably has money. We're going to go somewhere nice. Nope. I get there thinking I'm going to be late, end up there 20 minutes early, and thank God I was. I went to the bathroom, fixed my hair and makeup because I was a little bit sweaty from having to rush to get there because I was afraid of being late. And I was thinking if he's a salaryman, he probably has exactly 1 hour before it's time for him to go back to work, or even less than that, because, if the lesson is an hour, normally your lunch break is about an hour long. So anyway, back on subject, an hour or 40 minutes, depending on where you work. So yeah. Once I get there, he messages me a few minutes early, letting me know that he's there. So I'm on my way leaving out the bathroom. And when I get there, I'm going down the escalator and I see the place and I'm like, oh my God, please do not be that person. I read his messages and I see that he sent me another message telling me what he's wearing. This dude showed up to the English lesson, guys. This is my first time meeting him. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys. Let me back up. So I did a little bit of research on him while I was in the bathroom. Once I was done, while I was waiting for myself to cool down from sweating before I fixed my hair and makeup, I searched his email just to see if I could get any information on him. Because sometimes they do use the same email address for everything. And I know if people have done it on me before. So I wanted to search and see if I could, figure out some more about him because I don't get his picture. I don't know anything about him other than his age and his name from the site. And so it turns out the guy was like a dancer or something. And so I didn't see his exact picture because I didn't have time, but I already knew that he was into Black culture. And I was like, oh God, he's one of those. Like, see, I knew I was wasting my time. So anyway, fast forward. After he tells me that he's there, I tell him, that I'll be there in a second. And I, go down the escalator and I can see him. This guy shows up to the demo lesson, to, his trial lesson. He has on outdated, old, probably fake 90s, street clothes. He's wearing some super baggy, saggy jeans. He has on a beat up blue Chicago Bulls hat, a white do-rag, and he just looks dirty. And it was just, I literally thought to myself, should I ghost this guy? Because I've done it before and I really thought about doing it this time. But I was like, no, he seems sane. He's been nice. Go ahead and do the lesson. Get your coins. So I approached him and he was nice. He was super, super shy. And it was very obvious in his mind, this was just a date for him. He saw me as a pretty Black girl and he wanted to, see if he could at least be friends with me at the least. And for him, it was worth the investment for paying for a trial lesson. And so as I told you guys, I always charge for my trial lesson because worst comes to worst, I didn't waste my time with you. You gave me money and you possibly gave me a free meal too. So I did him a favor because he clearly didn't have money. I didn't let him buy me anything. So we ended up going to McDonald's and I didn't want to directly say look, nigga, I don't go to McDonald's for no trial lesson. You taking me somewhere. I didn't do that because I'm not that kind of person. So instead, I kind of alluded to the fact they're probably busy, which I thought they would be. And they were busy, but not as bad as it would have been. But this McDonald's is normally pretty quiet. There's not, it's not the type of atmosphere where you talk and play around like how some of them are, where there's a lot of teenagers there. This one normally has pretty much all salarymen and it's silent. So to have somebody annoyingly speaking in English, is probably not the best idea, but I went ahead with it, and yeah, he was like, oh, do you want anything? And I was like, no. And then he was like, I'll pay. And I was like, no, thank you. So he got me a little, one of those mini, cups of water thingies. And so I was trying to get comfortable, but, I set a timer and everything. It's like, God, please let this hour go by fast because I want to leave. So uncomfortable. He was so awkward. He had nothing to talk about. He could understand English pretty well to have been a beginner, like how he claimed, but ended up having to use some Japanese during some parts of the conversation, which is fine. But yeah, if it wasn't for me, he cannot hold the conversation at all. And that's fine if you're serious about learning English, but it was very obvious that he wasn't. He was literally just there for fun. So we spent the whole time just talking about what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that, and him talking about how he likes Black people and Black culture, him showing me his Black friends. And it was just really awkward because I did not like this, but I was like, if this is what's going to make the hour go by fast, I'm going to let you go ahead and tell me whatever you want to. So even then, I have to ask him everything. So if I were to ask him, oh, what's your favorite movie? I like Marvel. And so it's okay, can you talk? This is so awkward. And then he made it worse because he didn't have on a mask, which is understandable because, English lesson. But I don't even think he came with the mask now that I think about it. Then on top of that, he was a heavy smoker, heavy drinker, which was reeking from his breath, and you could see it on his teeth. And on top of that, if all of that was not enough, he was sitting right next to me. And seats in Japan are not like how they are in the US. They are extremely close. They are made for you to make out with the person next to you. So his leg is touching me, and it just made me just feel so uncomfortable. And I was ready to get out of there. But yeah, he was a really nice guy. And so at the end of the lesson, thank you, goodbye, whatever. Oh, but that's the part that got me. Once we got to the end of the lesson, I went a couple minutes over because it did take him a couple minutes to go, get his little drink or whatever after we had gotten seated. But yeah, after that, and I, tell him, oh, the lesson's over. He says to me, oh, so should I pay you today? Nigga, when the fuck excuse me, when do you think you're going to pay me? Next week? Of course you're going to pay me today. So then when he went to go pay me, he didn't have change. And so I'm like, sorry, I don't have it either. So like, you can figure that out. So he went and got himself change. And I really didn't have change. I wasn't saying this to be funny, but I'm like, why would you show up without having change for a lesson that you planned in advance? You knew when it was going to be. I didn't even order anything. So if anything, you should have definitely had the exact amount you needed. I saved you money in that sense. And then you have the audacity, you're going to ask me, do you pay? Like, I'm hoping that it was just awkward English that came out of his mouth. But I'm like, of course you're going to pay today. Like, you're hardly paying me anything. It was just a trial lesson fee. You're paying half price. So I wouldn't have that guy again, even if you paid me for a full lesson. I'd make up an excuse. But I felt really bad because during the lesson, when I was like searching for something that I was trying to explain to him, I was telling about one of my favorite movies and he'd never heard of it. I forgot that I had searched for him in the bathroom, and normally I don't have nothing to hide on my phone. So when he had my phone, I didn't realize that the Google search history had his email address in it, and I didn't think about it until later, but I was like, oh my God, he saw that I searched for him. So he probably gonna see this video right now, and I feel bad for him because, again, like, he's a nice guy. I don't mean any harm, but it really like creeped me out that he like came dressed and was looking like that. Like, it's one thing for you to like Black culture. I have friends that do, but the way that he was looking, I felt firsthand embarrassment as a Black person to be seen with him. So it was just super, super cringe. I really don't like that. Like I said, you can admire my culture, you can love Black women, Black people, without having to try to look like, not just look like a Black guy, but like a stereotype of one, so to speak. Like, that is not how all Black guys dress and or look. And while he didn't have anything like that written in his Twitter bio or whatever, there's other people that do. I really find that to be such an off-putting thing, and that's why like I try to get on my friends when I do have them that do that or see other girls do. Like, I can't even be friends with people like that anymore. So like I said, it's one thing to like cosplay or to like fashion, etc. It's another thing when that's your real day-to-day outfit. Like, I have pictures on my Instagram of me like cosplaying Japanese characters or things like that, and, you know, liking their style. I still do. I love it, and I would love to, you know, have the money and time to, you know, wear stuff like that again too. I have nothing against it, but that is not how I'm going to show up to business meetings and lessons and dates, and that's just weird. And then for me to have like in my bio, like, I love yellow men, and, you know, something stereotypical, like, I love small penises. Like, imagine if I said that. That would be problematic. But of course, it's going to be people like, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. He likes girls with big butts. Like, it specifically says Black women though. So I did not want my race or my being to be associated with being a booty. Like, that's all I am to you. So yeah, so like during the lesson, I forgot to mention, he tried to like sneak in the fact that he wanted to see me like without having to pay for it. And so he asked me, like, when we were talking about movies, he was like, yeah, like, I have this movie, like, you can come to my apartment and see it. I'm like, really? So he said it twice. He wasn't shy about mentioning that part. And so I'm like, yeah, just, you know, pay me my money at the end of this lesson. That's all I want. So I just hate that, because one part of it upsets me, because I hate being too judgmental, because I had a really good student that came off, you know, being that I thought he was going to be a creep, but he turned out to be totally normal. And don't get me wrong, it was obvious that he liked me too, but again, like, at least he wasn't fetishizing after me, and he didn't like play any moves or try anything with me. But I always try to wait till I meet people, because I feel like you never know what they're actually like until you meet them. But then the other side of me says, I want to just save myself time. If I know you're going to be a creep, I see you have a fetish, see you're not serious, I'd rather just not book the lesson. Like, I don't need money that badly from you. So I never really know what my reaction I want it to be. And I hate that there's like that weird area, because like I said, one part of me wants to be appreciative of the fact that you're not a racist prick like how a lot of people here are. But it's like, is your stance any better? Like, sure, you're not stereotyping me in the sense that you think I'm dangerous or bad or that I'm scary, but you might as well be if your way of admiring me and loving me is seeing me as this sexualized gang-banging thug with a big booty. Like, what? Like, is that supposed to be a compliment? So that would be the equivalent of, like, I don't know, from the other perspective, a girl saying like, oh, I really like a white girl. Let's say a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. Maybe this is exactly what you want as an Asian man. But let's say that her reason for liking Asian men was, I like guys that are shorter than me, and I like men with small penises. It's more comfortable for me. I like being able to put my shoulder on your head when we're walking together. Now, for some Asian guys, they're going to be happy with that. Like, really? You're okay with that? I'm sorry for being too short. I'm sorry for, my dick being too small. Some guys are going to be fine with that. But then you have the smart guys that know better and are like, do you hear what you just said about my entire race? Why would any intelligent Asian man want to date you? Okay, I'm that person, but from a Black perspective. I don't want to be with you after you just said that. I know you meant well, but it's offensive to me. Well, he didn't say anything like that. I don't want to hang out with somebody that's literally walking around trying to be a stereotype of a Black man. He was older than me, might I add. This guy was, I think he was like 32 or something. He was 32 years old. So, like, it's not even like he was a teenager or something and going through a phase. And of course, he was a bum, didn't have a real career. And him paying for that lesson was probably money he didn't even have because he didn't have a formal job. He was like some sort of like part-time dance instructor living at home with his mom. And I'm not even exaggerating, I'm being honest. And yeah, like it's no. And that's the other part that sucks too. It's like it seems like the people that are really into being Black, not just here, like even in the US, it's always the people that are like underachievers, like the person that didn't go to college, the person that lives with mom, the person that doesn't have a career, the bum doesn't have a car. It's always that type of person. And I'm sorry, I know some of y'all can relate to that. I've been in that position too. I've been in that position since I've been in Japan. So I'm trying to pretend like I'm better than everybody or anything, but I'm just being real. I ain't that old and I'm also not a man. And if I were, like, I wouldn't be satisfied with where I am. I'd be trying to get out of that position. But it seems like these people just embrace it. Like they've decided they have no intention in bettering themselves. They're fine with their lifestyle. They're too busy living in la la land and trying to be something that they're not. And I feel like that's kind of sad and creepy once you get to be that age, especially as a man. Like being real, I'm sorry, but we're all adults here. Who wants to start a family, start a life with somebody that has no intention in bettering themselves like that? Especially in Japan or Asia, period, where pretty much, as we would say in the US, gold diggers are looked down upon. So, oh, hold on one second. Gotta answer my phone. Okay, sorry, my mom called. So anyway, yeah, so it's like, I forgot where I was at. Basically, who would want to be seeing somebody like that in public? Like, it's insulting. It's embarrassing, it's degrading, and again, like it really makes me sad because one part of me wants to be happy. Like I said, I'm happy that you do like Black people. I'm happy that you enjoy and acknowledge this is my culture and that you're not intending to mock it, but your obsession with it has become a mockery in that sense. And like I said, I've been on that, side of it before as a child, but it's like as an adult, it's sad and disappointing. So I was talking about how, if you want to start a family or whatever, like you can't do that with a guy that's not even working a full-time job and just having fun and dancing in the street and pretending to be Black. Like that's not realistic. Like, for a friend, sure, maybe, but I mean, let's be real. If the person's not talking to you just to be your friend, they want to see you romantically, whether it be for a one-night stand or whether it be a real lasting relationship. And it's a shame because some of these guys are really nice. Other ones are jerks and just using and taking advantage of girls and lying to them. But either way it goes, like it's offensive, it's insulting, and I personally, as an adult at my age now, would never do that. Teenage me, most certainly. And again, as I said before, do not confuse cosplay with being Japanese. They're not synonymous with each other, have nothing to do with each other. And cosplay is actually something that, I won't say it originated from the US, but the way that we see cosplay nowadays is something that originated in the US. So, yeah. At least he knows where, the culture that he likes stuff, where it came from, specifically Black American culture. So I give him props there. And he knew his stuff. Like he pulled up stuff like a Martin Luther King, etc. So he wasn't totally ignorant. But yeah, it just, I don't know how to feel about that because I want to screen applicants based off of their career and based off of their income because I know from right off the bat, like if you're working a part-time job or you don't have a degree, you don't have, a real career basically in Japan without a degree, I know that you can't afford to pay for, weekly English lessons with me. So why waste my time with you? And I also don't want to waste my time being a token for somebody to pretend like I'm their Black friend or pretend like I'm their girlfriend and hope that, they can impress me with this one lesson by paying for it and that I will ask, or I will accept, you know, them as a friend. Like, for example, he really wanted my contact information, which if you don't already do this, I didn't give it to him. I told him, you know, oh, we can message here, it's fine, through the app. And for me, it's like, if you become a regular student of mine and you book an actual lesson, then I will share my regular, you know, phone number, my contact information. But you don't need my real, you know, contact information for a trial lesson because you're trying to see me as a friend. And I don't want you keeping up with me like that. It's not necessary. So he probably did his, you know, fair share of research and probably found my Instagram, Twitter, maybe even my YouTube channel. And I'm sorry if you made it here because it ain't nothing personal. You're not the first, last, or only person, but you definitely inspired me to make this video because I think I have had another student that, you know, was a wannabe black guy, but like never that extreme. But this dude literally looked like it was a joke. Like it was like I was waiting for, you know, somebody to come out with a camera and tell me that I got punked or something because it was not real. It was so shameful and embarrassing because, of course, as people were coming into the restaurant, because it's quiet, everyone was looking. And so the good thing is he wasn't like really loud or anything. But yeah, like I just really don't like that. Like, this is how I see it. And this is what I want to tell you, black and white girls too, that are obsessed with Asians and Asian culture and fashion. There's a problem where when you go on a date or hang out with your friends and you look more like their race than they do. I do not want to hang out with an Asian guy that looks blacker than I do. Blacker than I do. I'm not being politically correct. Y'all know exactly what I mean by that. It's weird. So, and in this case, it's not even someone that I'm looking at as a boyfriend. I'm not sexually attracted to him. He wasn't cute at all. The only thing he had going for him is that he was tall. And of course, I like that he was older, but that's another story. Like, wasn't my type. He was a total bum. And that's the biggest red flag right there. Absolutely not. I refuse struggle love. I'm not about to be struggling and worried about, you know, my next meal coming from once I have kids or even without them. And I want to be able to, you know, take maternity leave without having to worry about, you know, are my lights going to be turned off, you know, today type thing. So if that's what y'all girls want, y'all that desperate for yellow dick, then have fun. But I cannot join you with that. I have higher standards and expectations for myself and the people that I date. The right one can and will come is how I see it. So, and this is not a dating site. Like, this is for teaching. So why are you like, like, join a dating site? Like, it's sad that there's so many people here that do that. But don't get me wrong. If this doesn't exist in the U.S. already, trust me, white and black guys would be on it there too. So I'm not even going to judge Japanese guys. So you ever had like a site for, you know, somebody should do this. If you're Asian, get on it. If they had a site for, you know, Americans or Europeans to learn Japanese where you could like meet your teacher and pay for them at a cafe, it would be full of desperate, thirsty black and white guys paying for Asian girls in the hopes that they can like become their boyfriend or wife, in the hopes that the girl can become their girlfriend or wife. They pay for it, you know, a lesson with the real intent of it being more like a date. So I'm not going to judge them. It would happen in reverse. But we're talking about what does exist. And I'm not in America. We're in Japan. So yeah, I'm done. That's it. I just wanted to share that because I thought that was interesting. But I felt really bad because like he messaged me telling me he had a really good time after the lesson, that he really enjoyed it. And I'm like, I know you did. But I thanked him, of course. But yeah, it's like, dude, I don't want to be your friend. I'm cool. No, thank you. So yeah, that's it. This is a pointless video. I just want to share my thoughts on that. So let me know, what are your thoughts? Know that there's like conflicting opinions on that. Like I said, some girls don't think it's a problem. They see it as, you know, the person admiring their culture and they're glad that somebody likes them, so to speak, and likes their race. Some people, like myself, find it to be insulting and offensive. So what side are you on? You can be honest with me. This is, you know, giving me your own little opinion. Like, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just telling you how I think, how I feel. I'm literally laughing at this right now. But yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. Bye.